What's going on, guys? It's the Angry Corpsman back at it again with another video. And in this video we're going to continue to talk about how to properly manage massive hemorrhaging, also known as massive bleeding. We're going to do this by talking about what is wound packing, in what situations will we apply wound packing, and then finally an application of the wound packing in a practical sense. So what is wound packing? Well, simply put, it is putting a material inside a cavity or a wound that has been created by penetration of a foreign object, such as shrapnel being bullet fragments, glass, metal, or other foreign objects. This can happen in anything like a car accident, to a shooting, unfortunately, and machinery accidents when working on construction sites or in factories, and many other places. So in what situations would we use wound packing? Well, in the tourniquet video we went over, you can apply a tourniquet to the arm or the leg, and you can stop the massive bleeding or massive hemorrhaging by clamping down that artery. But what happens if the injury is not in the leg or it's not in the arm? It's somewhere else on the body, such as my chest or my abdomen. And in some cases, if I do have a tourniquet on, but I still see some oozing of blood, and I see that there is a cavity or a wound there that I can easily assess, and I can pack, and I have time, and I've already put my tourniquet on, I can do that as well. Now, if the object is still in place, meaning it penetrated the body, but it did not come back out on its own, and I've seen this on my buddy. A great example that's pretty obvious is if I roll up on my buddy and he has a 2x4 straight through his abdomen. I'm not going to take that object out. The reason being is because that object, if I'm not seeing blood and squirting around, and even if I do, I'm just going to dress around that object and wrap that object in place, because that is what's holding the massive hemorrhage inside of the body. If I remove that object, now I've just created a problem for myself that now I have to go and try to stop that bleed. It's a whole lot easier just leaving that object in place. So they came out with a powder form of the wound packing before they came out with an actual dressing. It was called Quick Clot, and they still have the powder form around today, and it's been used widely in the military overseas to treat combat casualties. But there's one big thing. Although it works really well, there is one big caveat to the powder, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. I love cookies, and every baker knows that if I'm going to make cookies or a cake or whatnot, first ingredient I'm going to need is flour. We're going to say that this flour is our Quick Clot, and this bowl is the wound that we're going to be pouring this Quick Clot into. As you can see, I poured the Quick Clot into the wound, but what happened to the flour? It went up into the air. And that's the big caveat of the powder form of the Quick Clot. It does get into the air, and although it does do a great job of clotting the wound, it goes into the air, which means that it can get into my eyes, my nose, my mouth, my hair, and even my ears. And also it can get onto my clothing. So although it's a really good, effective tool, it can cause harm to those around the injury, such as the person who is hovering over them, pouring this Quick Clot in, getting it in their face, and causing harm to their eyes, their nose by breathing it in, inhalation, or ingestion by getting it into their mouth. So they came out with a impregnated gauze that has the same clotting factors in it, just in a neat little package. So I'm going to be using the same extremity that I was using in the video, but we're gonna pretend that this is somewhere on the abdomen area where I can't place a tourniquet, and I can't place a tourniquet in this area and cut off blood supply because I'm not going to compress any blood vessels, and more importantly, I'm not going to compress any arteries. Same around the neck. If someone has a head injury, it's not a good idea. Please don't do it by putting a tourniquet around somebody's neck. Alright, you will cause more harm than good. It's just a little thing like you cut off blood supply to the brain and also oxygen. Two vital things that the brain needs to have in order to keep your body alive and functioning. So we're gonna use this this limb here. Again, I'm gonna use it as somewhere else on my body where I can't get a tourniquet. So I have this wound here, and I realized, hey, he's bleeding from this wound, and it's pooling out blood. And like I said in the last video with the tourniquet, it's not how long I have based on when I realize my buddy is bleeding. It's when he actually started bleeding. So I need to be ready with my gauze, which I have right here. I'm gonna get this out of the package, and when I come up to my victim and I see the wound, I'm gonna directly put that pressure on using my hands, just like when we had the tourniquet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press down, and I'm gonna grab out my gauze. Now, what I've done already is I like to put a little bit of a knot in my gauze so that I can feed something down all the way into the lowest part of the cavity. Now, when we're doing this and we feel the object inside, maybe it's a bullet fragment or some type of material, do not take it out. Don't try to fish your finger in. You'll do more harm than good trying to get that object out. Even if you see it, just leave it in place. Again, it might be holding back some of the blood that is pooling in there. So I'm going to take my gauze, I'm going to go in, and I'm going to use my thumb to push down all the way into the wound. You are going to put your fingers inside of the wound. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start feeding myself bits at a time. And I'm going to keep going until I have perfectly packed this wound nice and tight. And if I need to, I might have to use another gauze. Some wounds are a little bit deeper, they might be a little bit bigger, but we want to fill that entire space. But for this application, I'm going to say that I'm good. So what I'm going to do, if I have any extra, is I'm going to fan fold it over, and I'm going to go back to direct pressure. So now that I'm holding direct pressure on this wound, I have the gauze underneath, I have it fan folded, I'm holding pressure. I'm going to hold this pressure until somebody comes to relieve me. That may be an EMS, paramedic, firefighter, whoever that may be. I will let them know I have packed the wound, and I will hand this care off to them. And they'll take over, and you can go about your way. Well, let's say I don't have this. What else could I use? Well, every woman has one of these in what I like to call, I know I put it in there somewhere bag, also known as a purse. So they have one of these tools in their bag most likely, and it's one of these guys. What is this? It's a tampon. Tampons have a multiple use factor to them, and they're really good for a lot of things other than just their intended purpose, as on the package. The cool thing about this is it has this applicator system to it. So I have my wound, I come over, direct pressure, I grab my tampon here, and I'm going to feed this right in, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. Now, once I've reached the bottom, I'm going to push this down as I pull this up, and that comes apart right there. I get both pieces out, and then I can continue to pack this in. Now I might need to use multiple. Good thing is I know that a lot of women probably carry multiple of these, not just one. Or I might need multiple women to help me out with this. So as soon as I get that in, I'm going to say with this one that my wound packing has been completed, and I am able to go back to that direct pressure. Now, good thing about these is they have this little bit of a drawstring, so I can tell that I have put one of these in and that it's in there somewhere. So I'm going to hold down direct pressure, again handing off that care once more medical help comes. So what if I don't have one of these? I don't have one of these. What else could I possibly use to wound pack? It's literally written on my chest. This shirt can save lives. Thanks for looking there. Alright, my eyes are up here. But you can use a t-shirt. In this case, this is a cotton t-shirt, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to come over, apply that direct pressure, and then I'm going to wad this up, and I'm going to feed this into the wound again. And when I have pressed everything in, I've filled all that I could, I'm going to drape this over the top and do the same fan fold. It won't be as pretty as the last wrap that I had, but I'm going to go back down to direct pressure. And I'm going to hold this again until help comes. Now, with this nifty shirt, we actually sell this shirt on our Teespring store. It is just a white t-shirt, and it says this shirt can save lives. On the back we have the instructions if you forget how to wound pack and you don't remember this video. Hopefully you go and pick up one of these, wear it out and about, and when that unfortunate event arises, hopefully you never have to deal with this, but if it arises, you have that shirt handy to go. Now let's say if this is your favorite shirt and you don't want to ruin that shirt, you can use someone else's shirt. You can use socks, you can use underwear, you can use any type of material that is a solid fabric, so that it is easily able to be retrieved out of the wound when they get to the medical facility. So that is wound packing. This is a video on wound packing and management of the hemorrhage, and I will link the tourniquet video somewhere in this video if I remember to, but if you go ahead and leave me a like on this video if you enjoyed it, comment down below if you liked this video, if it helped you at all, please let me know, and if there's anything else that you guys would like me to do in a future video, let me know again down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you guys know exactly when I am posting here on YouTube. This is the Angry Corpsman, and until next time, stay prepared.